Minessa. This is Daniellle over here. I am a Facebook expert. Daniellle is also a Facebook expert, and today we are here to talk about decoding Facebook. But while we are sort of getting going, while we're waiting for people to get on, we're gonna be checking just to make sure it's live in the right places. You guys know the drill. You've been around with me for a while. Daniellle, do you want to tell your audience as well?
Hi, how's everyone doing? I'm super excited. So I'm Daniellle Fewings, like Minessa said, and I have a Facebook ad management company. So yeah, I was just checking too to make sure we are live. We're all good here. It looks like it's sharing. So I'm ready.
Great. I'm just checking to make sure it's on mine. It looks like we're live on my place. Okay, so all right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on Decoding Facebook. Daniellle and I have known each other for a really long time, and we have both been in business and been working on Facebook for a while. And one of the things that we've noticed over the last, 4 or 5 years is that Facebook doesn't work exactly the way that a lot of us think or thought it should work. So we wanted to take the opportunity as we started having a conversation. We were like, it should go live, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. But first, I want to take an opportunity to introduce myself and also Daniellle, so you'll know who we are, where we come from, and why you might want to be listening to this. My name is Minessa. I am a Facebook expert. I'm also a marketing expert, and I work with business owners to help them streamline their sales funnel so that they can get people from being a stranger to checking out in one seamless process. Because that is one of the biggest issues that most business owners struggle with, is getting people from I'm seeing your post on Facebook to getting to the point where they're actually checking out. And how you use Facebook is a critical component of that. And I'm here with Daniellle Fewings. Daniellle, tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So I have a Facebook ad management company that I started a couple years ago, and I'm really focused on working with people not only to obviously run their Facebook ads, but I want to make sure everything on the other side of the click is optimized. And that is my big push. That's kind of like how we all came together here. I was telling Minessa about, this is my focus. I want people to make sure you can run $1,000 a day on ads, but on the other side of the shop now button, there's a lot of other things that need to happen. That's really just we were like match made in heaven over here talking about it. And so I think we have a lot of good conversation, or we can have a lot of great conversations about how to optimize on the other side of the click to make sure that your ads are profitable, that your business is profitable, and that you are setting yourself up for success.
I love that language, dude. I love the other side of the click language. I think it's just such an easy way. You're like, oh, the other side of the click. But about 2 weeks ago, Daniellle and I were on a Zoom call together, and she started telling me a story, and that's actually how we're going to start it. I don't think she even finished the whole story, because as she was telling it, I was like, dude, this is so good. We need to go live with this because everyone needs to hear what you're talking about right now. So Daniellle, I believe you told me it had something to do with a pair of Vans, which I got to tell you, I didn't even know you wore Vans.
Okay. So, I pay attention to every single Facebook and Instagram ad that I receive, and they either stop me and make me think, why am I getting this ad? Because they need help. I shouldn't be getting this ad. Or especially if I purchase something from an ad, I pay especially close attention to it, because I'm like, what was it about this ad? Because I know better than to click on these things. I know I'm being targeted. So what is it that made me click on it and click through and actually make the purchase? And so it was a Vans ad from the skateboarding shop. And I tell everybody, I've never even been on a skateboard in my life. I grew up in Orange County, California. I still have not been on a skateboard. So why did I not only click on the ad, but make the purchase? And I'll show you the shoes. They're rugged, they're not even Vans slip-ons.
Dude, those do not, that's not a shoe I would associate with
I know. My first pair of high tops.
Have you worn them?
I have worn them. I've worn them. My first pair of high tops. They're so not my normal thing, but I purchased them. And so I really started thinking, what was it about this that made me even get the ad? Because I think a lot of people think, okay, if you're going to get an ad for Vans, that must mean you either like the Vans Facebook page or you like skateboarding, very broad, specific physical likes on Facebook. And while all those things are true, what is more true is that the keywords in the product description are what Facebook used to tie that ad to the data points it has on me. So at the time that I bought these, I was thinking about going hiking in New Mexico. So I would need all weather shoes. I'd been searching things to do in New Mexico, Taos, all weather, all these things, right? And so that they're all weather shoes. You can wear them in the snow, in the rain. They're meant, I don't know, for like strenuous hiking, but let's be honest, it's not something I'm going to do anyway. So I read the product description and I was like, oh, this is why I was targeted. It was not because I like skateboarding, was not because I like snowboarding, not because I don't think I follow Tony Hawk on Instagram, stuff like that. And so that's not why I was targeted with that ad. I was targeted because the product description matched the data points that Facebook has on me. And so it's really important to remember that Facebook has more data on all of us than we have on ourselves, right? And so that's why when people are like, I think it's listening to my voice. I'm like, it's not listening to your voice. It's 10 steps ahead of you. Really, it really
all
is.
About you. It's creepy AF.
It's so creepy, but it's 10 steps ahead of you. And so it has so much data on everyone that all it can do is pick up keywords from the product description and find people that match those keywords. And so I'm really, really big on having robust product descriptions on your products, because if you want your ads to convert, that's the easiest and most inexpensive way to do it, is making sure your product descriptions are really, really robust. And, people talk a lot about search engine optimization to show up on Google. I don't care about how high you want to show up on Google. If you want your Facebook or your products to be shown on Facebook, in your shop, if you're running ads, you need product descriptions that are like perfect and really robust.
You know what's super interesting about that? And I love that so much because, like, on the flip side, like, you're talking about it specifically with ads and product descriptions, but the same thing holds true just with your regular posting. So,
Yes.
Facebook, when you talk about the amount of data Facebook has on us, I call it the shadow profile because I think it sounds suspicious. It sounds like the smoking man from the X-Files. So I'm like, it's the shadow profile, and it's basically everything. It's everything about you. And all it does when you make a post is it looks at the words that are in the post, and it looks at the people, and it says, okay, where can I draw these connections? And then friends of friends and friends of friends, and it grows that way. But one of the things that I found though is that at least within my audience, who the people tend to find me, is that their posts, and I'm not sure if you see this in ads as well, so I'm curious to know, tend to have very few words in them, like really very, very few words. Do you find the same thing in ads, or are you finding that same thing in your sphere?
So the posts can have few words. It depends. The ads are going to depend, right? So if you are like a coach and you don't have a ton of verbiage on your website, or you're not importing a product catalog that Facebook can read, you're going to want to have more words in your physical posts on Facebook. But also, I mean, it does all tie together. So like you can, like, if you want to post something on Facebook, like you said, and you want it to be shown to people, it doesn't necessarily need to have this giant comment. There's so many things that are trending. So like, let's use Kanye West, for example. I don't know if you guys are following his Instagram.
Dude, I can't even with Kanye right now. Like, that's just a whole, I can't even with him.
But
it's a good
Facebook
keyword.
knows,
it's a great keyword.
It is a good keyword. Facebook knows if you've been to his Instagram. Facebook knows if you're following Kim Kardashian. Facebook knows if you watch them on TV, right? All of these things, right? So you post, I did posted, like, you guys see him, he was holding the notepad that said my account wasn't hacked. So I took that and I changed it to say, know your ideal customer. And I posted this, right? And so that's going to get some traction because Kanye is trending, not necessarily because Kanye has anything to do with my business, but Facebook knows I'm posting his face, right? And I just put like, haha, or something. And it's going to get traction because Facebook knows who has been to his page. Like I said, has all that data on who is interested in Kanye, who's going to laugh, who's going to react, who's going to maybe look twice or hover over his picture for more than 3 seconds. And so stuff like that, like you don't necessarily need to have a ton of words, right? You pay attention to what's trending in the world, and you post something relevant to that, it's going to find those people.
Absolutely. And I think I'm glad that you pinpointed that clarification. So it wasn't really so much about the number of words as much as what is in those words, right? So like what is in there. So like I've seen sentences that can have 20 words with absolutely no keywords in there that would give any indication of what it is that you're doing. Whereas like with Kanye West or with any other post, I love the Golden Girls is sufficient because Golden Girls is a keyword, right? So like right there, and it's only 4 words. That's enough. The key is making sure that you're using those interest words, those keywords, and talking
Right.
about things that are. I think the way that I describe them, I'd be curious to know how you describe those words. Like, I think the kinds of words that show up in keywords are like activities, interests, people's names. Can you think of others that maybe are like things that people may want to be thinking about making sure that they're including in their post, even if you're including just one or a picture?
Yeah, anything that's trending and anything that is going to light up your ideal customer, right? And so those are really the words that you want to pull into, right? So your ideal customer might be a huge sports fan. So if you're posting about the Super Bowl, you're going to want to say Rams or Bengals, who do you have in the Super Bowl tonight? Or is your ideal customer not watching the game, but is there for the snacks? So you're going to say, what snack are you eating tonight during the Super Bowl, right? So really differentiating who is your ideal customer and using keywords that align with them.
This is actually really interesting because when I train, I've never actually touched on the trending, so I'm finding this like super interesting. So can you tell me like, let's say for example, like Kanye West is a good example. Like I love Kim Kardashian, think she's brilliant. But I don't really follow him, and none of my audience really does either, right? So let's say I do make a post about Kanye West. How does that work in terms of getting the information into, say, Cindy, who's never talked about Kanye at all, but she follows me. So would that in that case be in her feed because one, it's trending, and two, she follows me and we talk a lot? Like how does that work exactly?
And I mean, it's hard to exactly say whether
Well,
or
you know
not
what I
that's
mean,
going to
not
be in
exactly, but
Cindy's.
generally
Yeah.
speaking, like what's the vibe?
Yeah, if she doesn't follow Kim, has no interest in Kanye, and like that is like not in her hemisphere at all, it's probably not going to show up in her feed. But there are others that are in your followers that probably like Kim, probably are following this whole thing, that it's going to 100% be in their feeds. Like my sister, I was like, "Are you following this Kanye thing?" She's like, "What are you talking about?" Right? That stuff would never. She does not care.
Right.
That's never going to be in her feed ever. She's like, so it's like so far off her feed that she can't even it won't even be on her radar.
Yeah.
And so it won't necessarily be in Cindy's feed, but it's going to be in other people's feeds that are following you.
That's a really good point, because the key there is because like Cindy is like, one of my 4%. She's like always around. Like I know her really well, that kind of thing. So, I'm going to get her in other ways. But when you're talking about something that's trending, it gives you the opportunity to kind of swath through your audience really quickly and like just get some quick grabs on people who you may not have otherwise, just because you're not tapping in them with other keywords. So this is super interesting. I really, really like adding this nuance to how I train. This is fabulous. Thanks so much, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's fabulous. Okay, so I had another question for you, because as we were talking about the data points, and making sure that we're using our keywords. The other question, and you and I actually had this conversation briefly, and we kind of nerded out about it for a little bit, is okay. So I've had people, I've seen people come to my group and say, my community, and or ask me, they're posting 13, 14, 15 times a day, and it's like, oh my God, they're like, oh my God, and that's just on Facebook and in their group. They've still got all this other stuff that they're doing. So I want to hear from you. How often does one actually need to post?
It doesn't matter. You need to post. Wait, hold on. You need to post.
You need to post. You actually need to post.
You need to post. Here is the thing: is this makes me crazy. People are so hung up on what time and how often to post on Facebook. I did make a couple of reels just because.
I saw that. I was so surprised after our conversation.
Okay, I made them because people can't function really, it seems like, without knowing how many or what times to post. And so I made those pretty broad. But really the point of those reels was to give people ideas of what to post, because people also seem to be really tripped up on what personal things do I post on my business page. And maybe it's because I live on my Instagram story and I'm so open and I share so much. And I'm like, here's a thought. Let me put it on my story or on my page or put it out there. Let me put it on social media, that I'm just like, what do you mean you don't know what to post? You rode your Peloton this morning. You can post about that. Like, it seems so interesting to me that people get so hung up on this. So it really doesn't matter the time or how many times, because Facebook is going to show your post to 10% of your followers, whether that's on Instagram, wherever you're posting it. you're posting it on your business page, it's going to show 10%, your Instagram, etc. Right? If those 10% start to engage, Facebook says, okay, they like this, let's push it out to now 20, 30, 40, etc. So you can post at 3 in the morning, it's going to show it to 10% of the people on your following. And then it's only 10%. So people that have 10,000, 15,000 followers on Facebook, you could post once an hour. No one's going to get tired of everything. Not everyone's going to continuously see your post. It's not going to be too much. There's this whole thing. I don't want to post too much. I don't want, it's like, oh my goodness. You are not going to wear people out. Well, I shouldn't say not everybody's on their phones all day. I think we all are on our phones all day, but they're getting so much, right? We all follow like so many things on our on Instagram and Facebook that you're just going to be in the feed. They're not going to get tired of you at all. But you need to be posting, and also you need to be posting content on your Facebook page that is going to help you grow. I took a big left turn on this last year. I'm anti-group. So this is the other thing where people are posting and building community in a closed group where you are limited to how many people are going to see that content. And so this is my other big push lately is anti-group, because if you have 100,000 people in your Facebook group, you are limited to 100,000 people seeing that post. So if Sally comments on your cup of coffee saying she uses almond milk while you use whole milk, great. Okay. Now, if you post that on your business page and Sally comments, now her friends are going to see that, and then they're going to come, and it's really infinite. And so posting, engaging content on your Facebook business page, don't worry about the times. Although if you need a time, you can go check out my reels on Instagram. Just if you need to have this like control, some people do. Yeah, but I'm kind of rambling now, but that's.
No, dude, you're on. So I'm actually going to, so I have a different number of how many followers it shows people to. So the number that I usually use is way less generous, is 1%. So somewhere between 1 and 10%. In either case, it's a very small amount, like very, very small amount. The other thing is I'm totally, I'm totally with you on this group thing, because one of the questions I get asked a lot is, do I need a group? And I'm like, I don't know. Do you need a group? Because the thing is, sorry, we're getting the helicopter going overhead, is that you don't need a group. If you're going to have a group, recognize that the group that you're having is meant to be in a closed space where nobody else is involved, and you have no desire to grow from there, like none whatsoever. You're like, I'm in this group, it's for my friends to hang out and talk, share dirty jokes or whatever, and I don't have any expectation of growing outside of this space because this is just for us. But if you're running a business, chances are you want to grow and make money. Like, I'm a really big believer that almost nobody needs a group. Especially if you're selling products. Now, Syra, my sister, for example, which she does everything inside a group, and she grows very, very differently. So one of the key things that I always like to say this, is that you're always going to find statistical anomalies, which are people who are able to grow their businesses doing things that we're like, dude, don't think of those as the standard. Those are the people who were made very specific decisions and choices and paid huge prices for what they did. You just don't get to see any of that. So I think I like to always call it, because I always get somebody asking me a question, be like, well, so-and-so does it. And I'm like, that's, so-and-so is the exception. They're not the standard to actually how it works.
Yeah.
So Pretty in Pink is asking, can Facebook block your following growth? We seem to be stuck around the same number for almost a year.
On your Facebook page?
That's a really good question. Is that on your Facebook page, Pretty in Pink, or on in your Facebook group? By the way, a lot of people are tagging so many people for the group question, because apparently that's a really big one. And I think that, like, I'm glad you just came right out and said it, because I have for so long been looking for a soul sister who agrees with me that it's like, dude, if you're selling clothes, you don't need a freaking group. Like, you're fine. You're going to be just fine. Like, if you really need one because you personally want one, great. But accept that you're going to stunt your growth, because like, it's like you're having a big party. And the way I talk about it is, you're having a huge party in your house. You have the cure to cancer in your house, and you've got big signs inside that say cure to cancer is here, right? Mm-hmm. And you have a termite tent over your house, and then you sit there and go, where is everybody? Why isn't anybody coming to find my cure for cancer? And you're like, dude, nobody, there's a tent over your house.
It's so funny you say the termite tent, because I don't know if you watch Breaking Bad, but they use that to hide inside of a house. And so right? They use that to hide and make drugs. They didn't want anybody else coming in, so that was very effective.
So
You know,
you're
and
just telling people to go away.
I one of my big tricks is I really pay attention to, like, I don't really go and look at what a lot of other boutiques are doing in terms of marketing because they don't have multi-million dollar marketing budgets. So I will go and look at Nordstrom, Target, et cetera, because they have multi-million dollar marketing budgets and CMOs that are paid way tons of money. None of them have groups. There are Target groups not ran by Target, right? And Target is using public mediums to, I mean, when they post stuff about like the pride and all this stuff, like, and they post, like, they have those haters on their Twitter feed. They post all that stuff on Instagram where people can see it, on Facebook where people can see it. That's what they're doing to build community. They're not hiding it in a group.
Yeah. And like, you know, and I think that like Wendy's, I love the way Wendy's does it. Like I really enjoy, oh my God, I think the key, you know, earlier on you were talking about people who, they don't know what to post about. And I think a lot of people struggle with posting because they're afraid that what they're posting about isn't interesting. And so my general philosophy on this is who cares? It doesn't matter. It does not matter. You're not trying to, I don't know how to be interesting. I just know how to be me. Like that's it. I don't like, so I feel like, tell me what you feel about that. Like I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, if somebody wants to offer up a definition of what every single person on this planet considers interesting, we can follow that rule. Until that comes up, I think what we can post is literally anything. And just going back to like Kim and Kanye, I love Kim Kardashian. I love the Kardashians because I look at the Kardashians and I think they fight with their sisters at ages 35, 36, 40, the same way my sister and I still fight. And that's relatable. But they're not showing the red carpet. I mean, they show sometimes, but 90% of that show is day to day. They're sitting around eating salads. Why are we watching? Right? Like people, and so they do such a great job of showing nothing interesting, but they are the biggest brand, right? And so I think we can pay attention to that sort of thing and look at them and think they're literally sitting there eating salads. I can post myself eating a salad. That seems, you know, that gets views, that gets likes on Instagram, that gets all of that. And also like people really forget that just living your day-to-day life is relatable, right? That's why they post, that's why 90% of that show is eating salads. The Bentleys and the red carpet are not relatable to any of us, right? It's an awe factor, but the salads are relatable. The Peloton is relatable. Drinking coffee is relatable. People are going to want to tell you what they put in their coffee in the morning. People are going to want to tell you what class they took on their Peloton. That's interesting because people can relate and then people don't feel alone, right? If you're posting the red carpet, I can't relate to that. I feel alone. When you post eating salads and you're 37 years old punching your sister, I can relate to that. I don't feel alone. I don't feel shame for the fights my sister and I have now because Kim Kardashian and her sisters pull each other's hair out, right? So I don't feel alone. And so you give people that platform and that opportunity to not feel alone. They feel like they belong because you both put almond milk in your coffee. You've really given them a gift. And so I think the less interesting or whatever you define as interesting, probably the better.
I love that. I love that so much because that's like, I think that's a key area that it permeates through everything. Okay, so now I've been waiting for this moment for so long, feel like my whole life. So you had said earlier, right at the beginning, that you are all about the click, right? What happens after the click? And I am all about the user journey, which is essentially the same thing. It's what happens. So like we have an ad or you have a post and it goes out there to the world and it has your product in it. And let's say somebody sees it and they're like on your ad and they're like, this is great. I want whatever this is. And they click on it, right? That's where all the problems start. What's really funny is that when I first started, like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I thought all the problems were finding the customers. I didn't realize that, and now obviously when I left my boutique business and started this, I realized I did that because I realized finding the customers isn't the problem. It's after you find the customers, you're losing everyone. Like you're losing literally every person that you're finding. 97.8% of people you lose in 3 seconds. Like bam. So I want to hear, tell me about just get on your soapbox, talk about after the click. I want to hear about that.
So going back to the vans, so I was really frustrated because I clicked on the ad, and it being my first pair of Vans, had no idea how they fit. I can buy a pair of Steve Madden shoes, 8.5, no problem. I don't even have to try them on. I don't have to worry about returning them. But Vans, I didn't know how they ran. And their sizing is not on their website. And so I really wanted these shoes enough to then also go to Reddit and search for how Vans fit. There's not a Vans store super within, well, let's say, it's not within 1 mile of me. So obviously I'm not going to go to a store to try them on. Right. So I really wanted these shoes. And that shows you how I went to Reddit to find out how they fit, because I think their big challenge or their big misstep is not having, like, if you're new to Vans, maybe they just assume, maybe I was the only person that didn't have a pair. I don't know. But so you have to have information to build confidence, because I guarantee I'm not the norm. Most people are not going to go to Reddit to find out how something fits. I am just like, just take my money all the time.
I'm just telling you, that is freaky weird that you did that. I understand why you did it, and I know that you're freaky weird and do things like that, so that's cool. But most people are not going to take that effort. They're gonna get to that point where they don't know how it fits, and like they'll look for a few seconds, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is just too much work," and they'll just, I'm done.
So Spanx is another good example. I got a Spanx ad, and they had a pair of pants that I thought were so cute, but they didn't list the rise or the inseam. And at that point, I was like, I don't want them that bad to go hunt, right? And so that is the first thing, is like, especially if you're selling clothes, or if you are selling a product that requires some sort of instructions, like a how-to, all of those things need to be in your product description, not just so you can have a more robust keywords that you can apply to Facebook, but you want to build confidence with your customers and build confidence with whoever is buying that item, because nobody wants to return. Nobody wants to deal with that. That is like the biggest hassle in the entire world. And so you want to have all that information in your product description to build confidence. And sizing, I cannot tell you how alarming it is that there are so many boutiques out there selling clothes that put in the clothes true to size. True to size is not a size.
I don't even know what that means. For someone like me, you've lost me the second you say true to size. I'm like, whose size? What size? I'm out.
Right. And true to size is not a size. And I cannot tell you, I have calls and I'll look at people's websites and I'm like, you don't tell me what size this is. You have jeans and you haven't told me the rise of the inseam. I'm 5'2". I need to know the rise and the inseam. I'm not going to buy them if I can't read that. And then the other thing too is people are not painting a picture of what life is like with that item. They are telling me it is tie-dye, dolman sleeve, button up, which I can visually see in the picture. I want to know what life is like with this sweater. I want to know that that a small is going to fit a 4 to 6. And I want to know what life is like. And people leave that out, because that is what selling is. I don't need you to tell me again what it looks like. I can see, unless you are specifically targeting people who don't see. You don't need to include the description again. I want to know what life is like with it. And I want to know not just that it's true to size, I need to know how it fits. So I tell everybody, especially if you're selling clothes, even if you copy and paste, most boutique clothes do fit generally the same. Even if you copy paste small 4-6, medium 8-10, whatever that is, in every product, that's fine. It just needs to say that. And so that's the biggest obstacle or biggest thing people need to fix in their product descriptions, is how things fit, because you don't have a Reddit page. Most boutiques don't have a Reddit page where I can go to and then see how something's going to fit, right? I knew Vans, I could probably dig a little bit on the internet and figure out how they were going to fit. Also, should also add, they did not fit when they came, and I had to go to the store and exchange, but I left with an extra pair. So it all worked out in their favor, but really it's frustrating, right? And so that, not only that, but then also getting to payment, right? Add to cart and then payment. People that don't offer PayPal, Apple Pay, Google, like if there is an option, please put it. I think Amazon has a pay now, Google, whatever they all are, include all of them, right? Nobody wants to walk 10 feet to the other room to get their wallet. If you're not creating the path of least resistance from add to cart to checkout, you're losing the sale.
Is there such a thing as having too much text in a product description? Too much info?
So it depends on how you display it, right? I don't want to read a novel. I want you to describe what life is like with this item using keywords, tell me the sizing, and then maybe call to action, just some like little blurbs. So there's not too much, but just make sure you're formatting it in a way that people can scan.
Yeah, people don't like wall of text. So I love, oh my God, I loved everything that you were saying there, like the product descriptions. And I think that that's really important for anybody selling any kind of product at all, which most of us are. Like, make sure that you're describing it. I've seen so many product descriptions, like somebody selling, you know, a coach, or not a coach, a service provider who sells, who says, I'm going to sell you, I do your emails for you, and says 5 emails. And it's like, okay, well, you know, all right, tell me a little bit more about the emails. Are you just going to write 5 emails like, hey, dear so and so, like what's going to be in there? What are you going to accomplish? How, you know, what is
Yeah.
what kinds of things you can put in there? Do you do the templates? Like, there's a lot of information that people need to have. That I think one of the things for me is that the way that it appears to me, and I know that nobody actually thinks this, but this is what it appears to me, like on this side of like looking at somebody who makes a post. So I see so many posts on Facebook where somebody is promoting a product. So let's say I've got a skirt in stock. I'm going to use boutiques because you and I both came from the boutique world, so it's just easier. So I have the skirt, and so I put the skirt on a form, and I have a picture, and I say skirt in stock now, and that's it. That's all I say. So
Oh my God.
that shows up on somebody's feed, and they see, okay, skirt in stock now, and Danielle Fewing sees this, and Danielle's like, I love this skirt. This is an amazing skirt. And so you click, you're like, but how do I buy it? Right? Like, there's no link there to buy.
Oh my God.
I can't even tell you how many posts I've seen, how many boutiques I've seen who said I'm not getting any sales, and I go and look at their posts. There's not a single link in a single one of those items. And it looks to me almost as if it's like, I'm obsessed with my business. I love my business. I think it's amazing. And I think that all I need to do is just put this up here, and you are going to think the same thing. So you're going to do all of the work that I don't actually want to do to find the thing. So in like, essentially we're making our customers do the work that we're supposed to be doing. Is that sort of like,
Yes.
what do you think about that idea?
Oh my God. Like, I'm so glad you brought this up because I can't tell you how infuriating this is to me. Even I have clients that do this, exactly what you're describing. And I will go and on their Facebook page and I'm like, oh my God, this skirt is going to kill in ads. I want to use it. And it says just that, skirt in stock. And then I go to their website to find the link to use in a Facebook ad that they're paying me to do, right? And I go click on skirts and I can't find it. And that's as far as I'm going to go. And because I'm like, no, I'm not getting paid enough to do this for everybody to go and hunt and spend an hour hunting. And I'm not going to message you because, you know, all this. So if I, as your Facebook ads person, cannot find it, and I know where to go look, the customers are not going to go look, right? Especially when, let's remember, boutiques all carry the same stuff essentially, right? Unless you're really manufacturing your own items, I can take a Google image search of that and probably find it faster than if I had to go hunt it on your website, honestly. And I also do think there's a little bit of fear that people have of asking for the sale. And so I feel like that might also be a reason why people maybe subconsciously aren't including the link or anything like that. But tell us, this skirt is called, right? And it can be found, and give the link. I know there's a lot of people that are not into putting links in their posts because they think it's going to drive down the algorithm. There's no proof of that
it doesn't
either way.
matter at all, and it doesn't matter. Both Danielle and I both say it doesn't matter. Put the link in. It may have before, but it definitely doesn't now. I just did like a whole thing with Mari Smith, and she says it doesn't matter at all. In fact, it's better to put it in the post than put it below in the comments or whatever else people were doing.
That, and then also if you are posting on Instagram and hitting that auto share button on Facebook, and your post says link in bio. Well, on Facebook, there's no link in bio for me to go to. So please stop doing the auto share to Facebook and take the extra step to copy and paste natively on Facebook and include the actual link, because it is going to be different, right? You're putting the auto share and then I have to get that on Facebook and I'm like, link in bio. And I'm like confused. What? Link in bio? That doesn't make sense. So take the extra step. So really what you were saying, Minessa, is 100% true. Just stop asking your customers to do the extra work, because you're not going to find more people like me. I guarantee that are going to take all those extra steps to buy something that they want. They're going to find it elsewhere. In fact, I had this exact issue yesterday. There was a pair of shoes I was looking at on a website, and it said the vendor name. And so I typed in the vendor name into Google and eventually found them on a different website, because I wasn't going to do the extra legwork to buy them from this person who didn't have enough information.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know what, the key for everybody is you don't have to jump in right now and go change all of your product descriptions, but iteratively and moving forward, you
Yeah.
definitely want to start doing this. Now, oh my God, I want to ask, actually I'll do that at the end because I have one more thing that I want to jump in on this one, talking about your user journey. So I have a thing that I'm obsessed with. Like, this is my soapbox, is I fucking hate Linktree. I hate Linktree with such an unholy passion. Like, I feel like it is just the bane of my existence as a marketer. Because, you know, you were saying earlier about people having to look for things, and, you know, when if they don't know where to go to find something, you know, when people are faced with a lot of options, they tend to they're like, I have 6 options here, I don't want to choose the wrong one. And this is another example, I think, of business owners making their customers do the work for them, where it's like, I don't want to tell you where the next step is that you need to go to, so I'm just going to give you all the options and let you decide. So they're like, I have too many options, I don't know what to do, so they will bounce. I think that if you have a really engaged audience, so like, let's Kim Kardashian, for example, she can have a freaking link tree because I will do the work necessary to find whatever I need from Kim Kardashian. Like, I will,
Yeah.
because whatever it is that I want from her, I will do that work. There are people who know their followers enough to know that, like, whatever it is, they're gonna, you know, and they have enough followers to where I don't actually care if I lose people because of that, because it's, and
Right.
so if you don't care about losing followers, I think that it's great. Go ahead, use it as your next step. But I think it's a really bad step after the click. What do you think?
I fully agree because as far as I know, you can't install a pixel. And so there's no tracking who clicks on
No.
it. So right there, first of all. And then second of all, anything that's on a link tree, you can put on your main website. So if you have Shopify, Comment Sold, WordPress, whatever, hosting platform, Squarespace, all of that content can then be on your website. So I think what a lot of people use in their link tree is website app downloads. And it's like, if I'm finding your link in bio and clicking that, I'm not ready to download your app. That's a
Yeah.
lot to ask of me when I don't even know you. Right. And so you can instead put your app download links, which not enough people do this, on your website. There should be a link in the footer or in the header that says download the app, right? That it should be there. And so all of those things, everything should be on your website. And you want people on your website because anyone that clicks onto your website is now in your warm audience. Even if they click and then immediately leave, they have clicked into your website. They are now yours. You get to target them with ads. You get to consider them a warm audience, and you want them there. You can't do that if they're clicking onto a Linktree app.
Oh, dude, that's amazing. And you know, actually, seriously, as you were talking, I had like this really great question for you, and I was like, and then between that, you said something else smart with the pixel, and then I just totally I lost it. And I'm like really annoyed that I lost it because it was really really great. Hold on, it'll come back to you. We're talking about ads. We were talking about. All right, we'll come back to it later. Okay, so we're talking about Linktree. Let me go back to our questions now that I got derailed in my own mind. Don't. Okay. Um, all right. So, you were talking. The one of the last things that we want to talk about is before we start to wrap up is you and I were talking about don't spend money on ads before you do this, right? So you and I, the reason why we decided to do this was because so many people that we know spend money on ads that then don't deliver, or they think aren't delivering because after the click there's a problem, or because or because they don't really know who their market is or whatnot, right? So really, a lot of people are spending money to get the same results that they would get if they weren't spending money. So now they have no results for $30,000 or whatever, no results for free. So if somebody was to come to you for ads and say, okay, hey Danielle, I want to do ads with you, what are some of the things that you look at right away to see like whether or not somebody is ready for ads, or if that really is the right next step? Because it isn't always the right next step, right?
Right. And I have turned people away and said, come back to me after you do these things, which the big thing is you want to make sure that you have inventory to support ads. So not too much, not too little. There is a bliss point with that. Definitely having more, the better, right? If you have 10 items in every product category, that's not enough. And that's totally okay if you're not there yet. I'm not asking people to go and invest $50,000 in inventory, but building up to that is key. And then along the way, also building up your inventory is building up that warm audience. So there's such a big difference when you come to me and you have 100 Instagram followers, maybe 200 likes on your business page, and you're not really posting that often. And maybe you've done total $5,000 in sales, not a lot of web hits. That's fine. All of that is fine. We all have to start somewhere. However, Facebook doesn't have a list of people who are familiar with you, like to engage with you, and like to click on your posts. So, what you are going to have the obstacle to overcome is Facebook is going to be spending your money to figure out who likes you. Where if you are doing all that legwork first and building up those engaging posts and building up to 1,000, 2,000 likes on Facebook, maybe you have 20,000 hits on your website. Maybe you've got 1,000 likes on Instagram or followers on Instagram. Now Facebook says, okay, we have a bigger pool of people to see who likes you. We can go find more of them, right? It's harder for them to really aggregate all the data of 100 people versus 1,000. I mean, that's just math, right? And so really building up that warm audience on your own organically. And then that also should continue when you start ads. This happens a lot too, where people are like, great, I have ads, magic button, flip the switch. And it's like, no, right? You need to continuously feed that warm audience organically. It's just going to cost you more in the long run to do it with paid ads.
Absolutely, totally agree. I think that I think the key area here that for me, the big one is like get to know your audience yourself first, because otherwise you don't really know what it is you're like. That's the question people always like, I don't know what to pick in my audience. I think really that's a key indicator is if you don't know what to pick in the audience section, then you're not ready for ads because you don't know who those people are. Now, maybe you don't necessarily know the exact things, right? Because like that's what Danielle's for, but you've got to have a general idea of what these are. So, okay, so Colleen is asking, would you not recommend using Facebook ads for a cold audience?
No, so we do still use them for a cold audience, but what Facebook does is we upload your customer list, upload your Facebook page history, everything that's a warm audience. We say, hey, Facebook, go find more people like this, right? So like I said earlier, if we can give them 1,000 people versus 100, right, there's more data points that they can aggregate together to go then find more of those people, right? So like if you have 100 people and 5 of them ride a Peloton, I just use that example because it's sitting right here. Or if you like, Facebook's going to say, well, we don't know if if more people that ride the Peloton are going to be into this boutique. But if you have 1,000 people and 500 have a Peloton, Facebook's going to say, okay, the people that like her like the Peloton. So we're going to find, they're going to just pick up those data points that are going to help grow that cold audience.
So essentially what you're doing is you're figuring out the warm audience so that then you can tell Facebook that, give it the information, and then it uses that to find the cold audience that is most likely to connect with you, the puzzle piece. She might be a good fit. She might be a good fit. Because you're really not looking for 100% match. There really is no 100% match. What they're really looking for is just like, ooh, she has an interest in that. She's engaged in that at some point in the past. I'm gonna show it to her. Okay, so as we are sort of starting to wrap up, because I have to go buy a toilet. We only have one bathroom in this house, and we need to buy a toilet today. And they have a showroom. They could only see us at 2:30. So, yes, dude, this is my life now. Every day, I'm just trying to fix something. I'm trying to keep this house from falling apart. So I wanted to wrap up with asking you this question. So, I would love for you to share with with your audience, with the whole audience. Because you are an ads expert, and I know that a lot of my audience is looking for ads, and they're looking for someone to do ads for them. So can you tell us a little bit about, like, if my audience is mostly small business owners and direct sellers that work from home. How can you tell them a little bit about if they wanted to work with you? How would they get started? What are some of the things that you'd be looking for? How can they get in touch with you?
So you can go to my website, which is elevated-ecommerce.com, and there's links that say meet with me all over there, all across the website. And you can click any of those to schedule a free consultation, and I will dive into your business. I'll look at your website, look at your Facebook business page and Instagram, and we can talk about what I think the challenges would be to starting ads right now, what I would recommend implementing before we got started, or if I'm like, this is great, let's get going right now. We'll talk about all of that on the free consultation. If you also, I offer a different program rather than full ad management. I found a lot of people who maybe came from a direct sales business before and now have a boutique and have a huge customer list from things they've done in the past. and want to have just some ads running in the background, I have a light program that I do, which is just to really, you have a big warm audience. And so we target them. And then also we target people who may have added to cart but didn't purchase. That's just like free money that you're missing out on if you're not running those ads. And so I offer that as well. It's very specific to people who have a large and warm audience and aren't ready yet for full scale ads. So yeah, you can go to my website, elevated-ecommerce.com. You can also find me on Instagram, Danielle Fewings. That is not specific to my business. There is business stuff on there.
I went there yesterday. I was like, love this. I was like, they're going to get to know Danielle. You're amazing. It's going to be so fab.
But I really use it as like, this is just who I am. It's all, my whole life is encompassing on there. And then I also have a business page too, which I'm sure it's going to link with this video.
So just so that everybody knows, I mean, you all can see it on the screen. Danielle, I put it like right under your thingy there. And then Christy is also putting the link to your Facebook and to everything in the chat so everybody can connect with you. And obviously, if you guys have any questions, you're also welcome to connect with me. So just so that everybody knows here, after you've talked with Danielle, if Danielle's like, listen, or even before, you can come to me and ask me, hey, what do I need to do to get ready for ads? The thing that I help people with is getting ready for ads. So yes, I will help you put your business in place so that when you go to Danielle, you have all the pieces in place and she's like, oh great, you're ready for ads. Let's get going. So that now you guys can just dive right in. So this is why we decided to do this together, because I feel like there's magic happening here, Danielle. Yeah. And I will definitely, I mean, I'm super honest, like what's really great. And I'm pretty proud that I've been able to turn people away that aren't ready. Right. And I don't want to just take people's money. It gives me too much stress and anxiety to run your ads and have them not perform. Like it makes me sick to my stomach because I don't want you to waste money or think that I'm doing a bad job, even when I can tell you it's not me. Oh my God, you're so funny. I'm like, and it's not me, but I just don't want you to waste your money, right? And so I think working with Minessa first to really gear up to ads is important. And also, like I said, if you have a long list of people and that from another direct sales company or a business before that aligns and you want to run ads, I have a light program that I can set you up with while you're getting everything else in place. But if your customer list isn't that long and you know if it's long or short, like I'm talking for like 5,000-10,000 people, customer list is what we need to run the light program. But yeah, if you're not ready, work with Minessa first and she'll get you ready. Sweet. I love it so much. And I can second the fact, two things. First, I want to just do my own endorsement. I actually said this before we went live. I was like, Danielle is literally one of the smartest people I have ever met. And when she and I sat together and she started talking, I was like, oh my God, we have got to get you on the live because you're just so brilliant. I want everybody to hear it. And she's also one of the most honest people I've ever met, which I love about her. I mean, like let's just face it. It's a double-edged sword. But what I love about it is that I can always trust her. If I ask her a question about my business, she's not going to sugarcoat it. She's not going to give me shit. She doesn't care if it hurts my feelings. She will tell me what I need to hear to make sure that I make money. And that's a really important I think it's a really important characteristic to have because a lot of times people aren't sure like why they're hearing what they're hearing. So I can guarantee you, if you hear from Danielle, it's because she's trying to make you money. That's all it is, like guaranteed. Danielle, thank you so much for joining us today. You're amazing. I'm so glad you came. We have to do this again sometime, I think. Oh, I loved it. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun. I mean, sitting here and chatting is about things I love. It's so fun. And your dogs were very well behaved. I had to let mine out, but yours were very well behaved. Oh, yeah. Because they can't hear me.